Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Buddhist Mahavihara Facebook page. This is Leslie, and this evening we have a very special guest with us from Fresno in the United States. And this Bhante is actually with us for the first time on the Dhammadana series, and he's actually been recommended by Bhante Kusala. If you have been following us, you know Bhante Kusala is from Detroit, and Bhante Kusala has recommended this Bhante to be with us because he's highly recommended. He's a young monk who is now serving the Buddhist community in the States, especially in the San Francisco Fresno area. I would like to bring on Bhante Chandananda onto our program. Good evening, Bhante. Can you hear us?
Good evening, Leslie.
Good evening, Bhante. So this is Bhante Kirinde Chandananda. Now, I didn't realize this until Bhante told us that Bhante comes from the same village as our late chief, Bhante Kesari Dhammananda Naika Mahathera. And so we have now a new and young upcoming monk who's doing good work in the States in the name of Bhante Kesari Dhammananda's footsteps, in his footsteps. And we are very fortunate to have him with us this evening. Let me read Bhante's profile so that at least we understand a little bit of where Bhante comes from. Now, Bhante Chandananda graduated from the University of Peradeniya in Sri Lanka with first class honors in 2007. He was a lecturer at the University of Peradeniya for 2 years. There he taught Buddhist moral philosophy, Buddhist art, and also architecture and the world's religions. He then went to the United States in 2010 on the invitation made by the Sri Lanka America Buddhist Dhamma Society to serve as a Dhamma teacher at the Los Angeles Buddhist Vihara. Since then, he has been giving lectures and conducting meditation programs at various institutions and temples in many parts of the USA and in Canada. Currently, he is serving as a Dhamma instructor of the Cambodian Buddhist Association in Fresno, California. So I'd like to now welcome Bhante Chandananda to give his Dhamma sharing. It's the Dhamma sharing is actually called what the Buddha realized under the Bodhi tree or realized at the Bodhi tree. But actually, that's just a very nice title to a very deep subject called the Paticcasamuppada. If you are a serious student of the Buddha Dhamma, you'll understand that this is actually a very serious subject. But Bhante has given us a very nice title as what the Buddha taught or what the Buddha realized under the Bodhi tree, right? So now I'd like to hand over this session to Bhante Chandananda. Bhante, would you like to please carry on? This whole evening, you have about another 40 minutes or 45 minutes to explain to us about the Paticcasamuppada.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the exalted one, the worthy one, the perfectly enlightened one. Dear Dhamma friends, first of all, I would like to extend our sincere thanks and gratitude to the Buddhist Mahavihara and also to Mr. Leslie for having us invited to share some thoughts of Dhamma with you in this evening. So as you are already aware of the topic tonight, we have a very special Dhamma discussion on the topic what the Buddha actually realized at the Bodhi tree, or what the Buddha actually realized under the Bodhi tree. In other words, what we are going to discuss tonight is the Paticcasamuppada, the central philosophy of Buddhism. This is exactly what the Buddha realized sitting under the Bodhi tree on the very day he attained enlightenment. Now, as the Dhamma seekers, as the seekers of Nibbana, we always have to refer to this very enlightenment of the Buddha. This is where we can really see the deep Dhamma, the profound Dhamma Buddha realized. Without knowing the meaning of the single important, most important Dhamma, we won't be able to end the suffering that we are experiencing in this samsara. Buddhas are born or appeared to solve this problem of suffering, uh, to find the lasting solution for this suffering we are confronting with. The amount of suffering we have been experiencing in the samsara is incalculable. Once the Buddha said that, addressing the monks, Buddha asked, "What do you think, monks? Which is greater, the stream of water in the ocean or the stream of blood we have shed in the samsara?" Buddha himself answered that the amount of blood we have shed in the samsara, if it were collected, it would have been greater than the stream of water in the ocean. Such an immense suffering we have been experiencing in the samsara. So, to end this samsaric suffering, the Dhamma we need to understand is called Paticcasamuppada. So, before we go to the actual topic of Paticcasamuppada, let me briefly say something about the importance of this Paticcasamuppada and the profoundness of this Paticcasamuppada. We all know that Venerable Ananda was titled to be the treasurer of Dhamma because he had such a great acquisition of Dhamma in his memory. So one time when he was telling to the Buddha that, "Remember, sir, it is said that the Paticcasamuppada is something very deep and profound, yet it seems very understandable and comprehensible for me. For me, it is not that deep," and this is what the Venerable Ananda said to the Buddha. And then the Buddha said, "No, never say so, Ananda, never say so. This Dhamma looks deep, so it is. It is very deep, and because of our lack of understanding in this, the most single important Dhamma called Paticcasamuppada, you and I have been experiencing immense suffering in this long journey of samsara. So this is very important for us to understand. And if you remember that right after the Buddha's enlightenment, it occurred to him that the Dhamma he realized, it's like something almost ordinary people can't understand. And therefore, Buddha happened to name this Dhamma as the Patisotagami Magga, or the path that is going against the current, against the flood. Patisotagami. Patisotagami is as opposed to Anusotagami. Anusotagami means going with the flow. So to understand the Paticcasamuppada is it's like trying to swim upstream, going against the current, against the flood. It is extremely challenging, extremely difficult, but it is possible with good insight, sharp insight. So therefore, we thought to discuss about this Dhamma tonight. This is of very this is of central importance as the Dhamma students and as the seekers of Nibbana. This is of great importance. And the other thing is that um, to understand Paticcasamuppada for the first time, this is what the Buddha did at the Bodhi tree. He was able to understand the Paticcasamuppada without anyone else's guidance, on solely on his own. So this is extremely rare, and Buddha compared this. This is like piercing through very hard eggshell of ignorance. So, in other words, all the living beings, the ordinary living beings who are living in this samsara, they are like they are living in a very thick shell of ignorance. So it is not that easy for anyone to break through or pierce through this very rough, very strong shell of ignorance. But Buddha was able to do that for the first time, and therefore he is called Aggaja, or Jetto. He is the senior in the sense that he was able to pierce through that very hard shell of ignorance. So let us draw our close attention to what really happened to Prince Siddhartha on the day of his enlightenment. So we all know that he sat under the Bodhi tree on the full moon day of May, and he first went into a deep meditation where he was able to obtain higher jhanas. He was able to, for instance, he was able to attain to the first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana. Jhanas are the meditative absorptions, the first four absorptions. Not only that, he was able to attain to some higher cognitions too, retrocognitions, and also divine eye, with which he was able to see um, how beings are born into different realms of existence in accordance with their karmic energy. So then thereafter, he directed his mind towards very deep Dhamma. And this is the question he always had in his mind, even during the period of practicing or fulfilling paramis. So the only question, only problem, the question he was always puzzling is this problem of suffering. Now, among many problems we encounter, we confront with in our lives, the problem is, of suffering is the most immediate problem that we encounter, that we confront with, we are confronted with. So Buddha wanted to find out a lasting solution for this problem, the problem of suffering. And then with a very sharp insight into with the yoniso manasikara, first he drew his attention to the 12th link of Paticcasamuppada, that is called Jara Marana. Actually, that's how he started to realize this whole everything about this Paticcasamuppada. But nowadays it's true that we start from avidya, paccaya sankara, and so forth, and that's how we complete the all the 12 links of Paticcasamuppada. But the Buddha started focusing on this Paticcasamuppada, starting from the 12th link, that is the Jara Marana. Jara Marana means decay and death, because when we said decay and death, it represents the whole mass of suffering, the suffering from suffering we experience because of the separation from our beloved ones, and because of the association with the dislike, and not having what we desired for. So everything, or whole mass of suffering we experience with the decay and death. So he was questioning, why is it, why we really undergo this suffering, why we really experience this suffering. Then it occurred to him, yes, there is a very definite answer, definite cause for this Jara Marana. What is this definite cause? Yes, Jara Marana is because of the presence of Jati. Jati means birth. Um, Birth, it is because of birth that we experience decay and death, and lamentation, sorrow, grief, and everything we experience because we are born. And then he wanted to understand the cause, the root cause of birth. And as he was contemplating deeply on this subject, and it occurred to him that yes, birth is because of becoming. Birth is not without cause and condition. Birth is because of a cause and condition. So he wanted to know what is the exact cause and condition for birth. And then he realized that yes, birth is because of becoming. Becoming means bhava. Actually, we have to understand that bhava is twofold. One is called kamma bhava, the other one is called uppatti bhava. Kamma bhava means the psychological becoming. Becoming, later on, we are going to discuss what this bhava means, with some analogies and with some examples, so you can understand it better. In brief, bhava means the notion of existence. So first we maintain this notion mentally, psychologically, and then it leads to conventional becoming, upati bhava. And then he further examine into it, and what is it that leads to bhava. Bhava is with cause. It is never without cause. There should be a definite cause for this. And then it occurred to him, yes, bhava is because of upadana. Upadana means clinging or holding on to. Um, so we have a strong sense of clinging. So bhava is because of clinging. And then he further questioned, why this clinging? Clinging is because of craving, that is called tanha. So then he further questioned, why this tanha? Tanha is because of Vedana. Vedana means sensation. So then he further questioned, what is the cause for Vedana? The cause for Vedana, he realized that it is because of the presence of, because of the sense contact. If there were no sense contact, there would be no sensation. And then he realized that yes, it is sense contact that leads to sensation. And then he further questioned, what is it that leads to sense contact? And then the approximate cause for sense contact is the presence of six sense spheres, six senses, salayatana. So then that is very obvious. So then he further questioned, why this salayatana, or the six senses. We know that we have senses: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and the mind. So why these six senses? Six senses, when we go to the origin of six senses, we can see the origin of the six senses in the name and form, or nama rupa. This is called psychophysical organism. So he understood then, yes, six senses because of nama rupa, or the psychophysical organism. For instance, when we get conceived in mother's womb, so it is not just the matter, or it is not the mind only. Rather, and that is called psychophysical organism, nama rupa, both nama and rupa, and mind and matter. So that is called nama rupa. So then, why this nama rupa? Then he realized this nama rupa is because of the presence of vijnana, that is called consciousness. So then he wanted to find out the root cause of this vijnana, or the cause of vijnana. Then he realized that vijnana is because of sankharas, because we have accumulated certain sankharas, punyabi sankhara, punyabi sankhara, nananjabi sankhara. In other words, karma, volitional formations. So then he realized, yes, it is a volitional formation that leads to the consciousness. And then he wanted to see and find out the cause and condition that leads to volitional formations. And then he deeply concentrated on this, and he understood that it is avidya, ignorance. Ignorance is the cause, the root cause. And beyond ignorance, there is nothing. I mean, everywhere what we see is just the ignorance. Because of ignorance, then he understood, yes, it is because of ignorance volitional formations come into being, and because of volitional formations vijnana or consciousness come into being, and because of vijnana namarupa comes into being, and because of namarupa salayatana comes into existence, and because of salayatana there is senses, or six senses, and when there are six senses, then there is sense contact, and when there is sense contact, it is the sensation is the result. And when there are sensations, so then we tend to crave for the sensation, and then as we crave for sensation, then clinging happen. And when we cling to things, then becoming, we maintain the notion of existence. And then as we maintain this notion of existence, and then we are subject to birth, that is called jati. And then once we are born, then it is unavoidable that we experience whole mass of suffering, starting from the decay, death, lamentation, sorrow, grief, and separation from the beloved, and the association with the dislike, and whole mass of suffering we experience. And then Buddha realized that if we are able to overcome avidya, ignorance, then we can overcome everything on whole mass of suffering. And then as he was contemplating from jara marana to up to avidya, he was able to understand two truths of Four Noble Truths. What are these two truths? The truth of suffering, and also the truth of the cause of suffering. So this is something very interesting for us to remember, that even before he understood the Four Noble Truths, in the first place he understood the dependent origination. So in other words, even the doctrine of Four Noble Truths derived directly from the understanding of dependent origination. So then, as he was contemplating the from the cessation of avidya, or the ignorance, so he was able to see the third truth of Four Noble Truths, and also the fourth truth of Four Noble Truths, that is the cessation of suffering, and also the path leading to the cessation of suffering. However, the crucial point here is avidya. So what is it that what is it this Buddha calls avijja? Avijja here means we can say not knowing of Four Noble Truths. So in other words, not knowing of conditionality of things. So then how we can understand this conditionality or Paticcasamuppada? So it is always by understanding this Paticcasamuppada we can avoid, we can overcome avijja. What is it, avijja? This avijja means the lack of understanding into conditionality. So how to understand this conditionality? Now, as we understand conditionality, so this has to do with the causality Buddha talks about. This is a very profound subject. It is always by understanding this avijja, the nature of avijja, we can overcome the whole mass of suffering. So the as we now people might be confusing with with different kinds of causalities, because we know that not only Buddhism but other subjects too, even for instance in the science, you see causality, scientists talking about causality, and you see philosophers talking about causalities. So then how to distinguish the causality Buddha talks about from that of other causalities? It is very important for us to understand the difference between Buddhist causality, the causality Buddha talks about, and the causality admitted in other subject streams. So here I would like to give you three signposts. As you understand the causality or Paticcasamuppada rightly, as you understand it rightly, you come across these three signposts. The first signpost is that even though the causes are led to effect, by no means effect represents the properties of causes. So in other words, that even though causes are responsible for the arising of effect, effect itself doesn't represent the causes. We will understand this relationship with some similes and some analogies. This is the first road sign. And the second road sign is that as you understand Paticcasamuppada rightly, correctly, accurately, you must be understanding that it is something, it refers to something that having not existed before, it comes into existence with the arising of necessary conditions, autta sambhutang, and huttana bhavisati, and it ceases to exist once the necessary conditions are broken. This is the second road sign or second signpost. In other words, that when we rightly understand conditionality or causality, we should be able to understand that um, things arise not been existing, having no existence before, and with the breakup of any of the necessary conditions, it comes to cease, or it ceases to exist. So this second road sign we should be coming across as we understand the Paticcasamuppada rightly and correctly and accurately. And the third road sign is that as we understand Paticcasamuppada, it avoids the both notion of existence and the notion of non-existence. So using these three characteristics of Paticcasamuppada, we can understand, we can make sure that we understand the right Paticcasamuppada, or the conditionality Buddha talks about, the causality Buddha talks about. and where we have to understand this Paticcasamuppada or the causality in our experience, within our experience. Now, this Paticcasamuppada is called dependent co-arising, dependent co-arising, as opposed to independent arising. Now, for instance, Buddha realized that actually this is why he compelled to term this Dhamma, name this Dhamma as the uh, as something going against the current, against the flood, Patisotagami, because the entire world is of this view that the things are existing independently. But Buddha realized that that is not the case, that things exist only as long as conditions exist, or the necessary conditions exist. So this Dhamma we have to comprehend. For instance, now you can check with yourself that whether you are going against the flow or going with the flow. If you are going with the flow, you should be thinking that the things you see, things you hear, things you smell, touch, and everything that you experience through your senses, then you think that they must be existing out there independently. But as you understand Paticcasamuppada, you understand that the things we experience through our senses, six senses, they don't have existence on its own, of its own. They are of dependent nature. This is what the Buddha called as the Paticcasamuppada, or dependent co-arising. So let me give you a simile so that you can comprehend everything we talked about in this lecture. For instance, um, when we see a shadow of a tree cast on a ground, this shadow, as we analyze this shadow from the perspective of Paticcasamuppada, then you can understand, you can see these three significant signposts in it. So what is it? What is it? This shadow. What this shadow is, and how it arises, and what is this phenomenon? Actually, shadow cannot exist on its own. For us to see a shadow, then there should be, let us confine this into three most necessary, important conditions. What are these three necessary conditions? For instance, there should be an existence of a tree, and then the ground and the light. So when these three necessary conditions come together, we see the result is shadow. But shadow, uh, now in the first road sign, we mentioned that even though the causes give rise to effect does not represent the properties of the causes. We can see this in this example. For instance, the you can see any properties of the tree in the shadow. You can see any properties of the ground in the shadow. You can see any properties of the line in the shadow. So even though these causes are leading to the effect in return doesn't represent the causes. This we have to understand. Uh, and also, as you understand this Paticcasamuppada, we mentioned that you are likely to avoid both notions of existence and the notion of non-existence. For instance, when there is when shadow is there, you cannot say it is. Why you can say it is because with the breakup of any of those necessary conditions, it ceases to exist. And you are not supposed to say it is not. Why? Because with the presence of those conditions, it come into existence. So since it comes into existence because of the presence of the necessary conditions, you cannot negate it. You cannot say it is not, and nor can you say that it is, because with the breakup of any of those conditions, it comes to an end. So this is the nature of the conditionality or the causality Buddha realized at the Bodhi tree. So when we apply this to our experience, to our world, still we are in the simile, but where we have to apply this simile of shadow. Actually, we had to apply this to our six-fold experiences. For instance, what we see is exactly like the shadow. For just as there should be three necessary conditions for us to see the shadow, even so, for us to see something, there should be three things: the eyes, the presence of eyes, the presence of matter, and also the presence of eye consciousness. The result is seen. What we see is not the eye. What we see is not the form either. What we see is not the eye consciousness either. But because of the presence of this necessary condition, seeing is possible. So seeing is exactly like the shadow. Seeing doesn't have existence of its own. Just as the seeing, all the other experiences are also like that: the hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, and thought. And this is what the Buddha said, that if you understand that, if you understand the transient nature, impermanent nature of these sixfold experiences, you understand everything in Buddhism. So that's why when certain disciples came to the Buddha seeking some brief, very concise teaching, and then the Buddha said, well, if you are seeking for a concise version of the Dhamma, it is like this. Seeing is just the scene. Hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, they are just that experience only. And thinking or thought is just a thought. If you can train your mind in that way, in accordance with that, then you can understand the Dhamma. What Dhamma, I mean, the disciples are likely to understand. They are going to understand this conditionality in terms of uh, these sixfold experiences. So if we analyze one single experience from the perspective of Paticcasamuppada or the dependent origination, then we can understand everything. So just focus on one thing, like for instance, the elusive nature and of seeing, or in other words, what we see is like an optical illusion actually, because what we see cannot be touched, what we touch cannot be seen. This is what the Buddha said, that um, the things that are cognizable through the eye consciousness cannot be cognized through the bodily consciousness. So this is what the Buddha realized at the Bodhi tree. Yes, this is very profound. So, but this is possible with very sharp insight. So now we would like to turn to you. So if you have any questions and comments on this topic, so you can understand this better with the discussion. So I wish that I hope that this short actually to talk about Paticcasamuppada, this limited period of time is not sufficient. But at least if you were able to get some idea about the subtleties and nuances of this Paticcasamuppada. That also will guide you as you understand Paticcasamuppada in the future. At least if you can understand if you can remember the relationship, what kind of relationship Buddha saw between the cause and effect, and especially the three road signs we just mentioned, that would be really beneficial for your Dhamma journey. So having said that, now I would like to thank you again for joining with this Dhammadana. So thank you. And if you have any questions and comments, you are mostly welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhante. That was quite interesting discussion on the Paticcasamuppada. There's one question that I've posted onto the screen. Can you see that question there?
Yeah. Bhante, could you kindly explain the Paticcasamuppada with relation to past, present, and future? Yes. Yes. As we I hope everyone got the question right. So he is asking to explain the Paticcasamuppada in terms of present, past, and the future. Yes, uh, there are few modes, like different perspectives from which we can talk about Paticcasamuppada. Um, at certain times, we refer to the past, present, and the future, and sometimes we can talk about Paticcasamuppada, like the from the perspective of momentary existence. If you go to the past, present, and future, you can see that in the um, Avijja Sankara, they represent, they have to do with the karma, that is the past life. But one thing we have to remember that uh, even though we can refer to the past, present, and the future, we are not supposed to split these 12 links into 3 lives. If we want to refer to the past lives, we had to refer to the all the 12 links into past lives too. Otherwise, we are not supposed to split these 12 links into 3 lives, but we can see uh, how this is related to 3 lives or the 3 times. For instance, even in the past, um, it is because of the avidya and sankara. Now we can see 3 parts in these 12 links. We can see karma part, we can see the vipaka part, and we can see the kilesa part. Karma part represents the first 2 links, the avidya and sankara, and then Vijnana Nama Rupa Salayatana Passa Vedana. Those 5 things represents this life, and also the Tanha Upadana Bhava, they represents the kilesas, and the result is Jara Marana. So even when we go to the past life, for instance, in the last life also, what we experienced was these 12 links, because of the presence of avidya and sankara. Then the vijnana nama rupa salayatana passa vedana, that is the life. And then because of our lack of understanding into this conditionality, we crave for the sensation. Then because of the sensation craving, and then because of craving, then clinging, and because of clinging, then becoming, and then we again experience jara marana, and the same cycle repeated again. And then at the last moment, uh, of our life in our last life. Then as we were maintaining that becoming nature, then we were able, we were subject to birth again. So this is how the whole cycle repeats itself. So uh, there is a term called adhana, and also there is a term called kana, and there is a term called muhutta. We can explain the Paticcasamuppada. Adhana means referring to the past, present, and the future. And kana means we can refer to the we can explain the Paticcasamuppada referring to the moment, kana, and muhutta, this momentary existence. So in these I mean different ways we can explain it. So uh, yeah, I hope that you are able to understood that. If not, you can have follow-up questions.
Bhante, there's a second question. I put it onto the screen. Can you see that?
There is another question. What is adicca sampassa and paticca? Yeah, adivachana sampassa and patigga sampassa. Yes, adivachana sampassa and patigga sampassa. Adivachana sampassa means the mental, psychological contact, and the patigga sampassa means actual physical contact. So we can see in all the six senses these Paticca Sampassa and Adivachana Sampassa. For instance, when you see something, if there is a sensation arising because of the eye, because of the form, and because of the eye consciousness, then that sensation is called Paticca Sampassa. And because of this Paticca Sampassa, then you can get this almost same experience through your mind too. But that time it is called Adivachana Sampassa. Adivachana Sampassa means you have mental experience over your physical experience. For instance, while you are experiencing something, this happens so rapidly, very fast, that right after your physical contact, then this mental contact occurs. So we sometimes don't understand that we are just using, and we are just referring to Adivachana Sampassa. I mean, the use in the Adivachana Sampassa, we refer to the Paticca Sampassa, but all the conditions, necessary conditions that led to Paticca Sampassa already dead and gone. But now we associate with the Adivachana Sampassa. Adivachana Sampassa means mental contact. So that is the basic difference, Adivachana Sampassa and Paticca Sampassa. Paticca Sampassa, for you to have Paticca Sampassa, always it requires the presence of eyes and presence of other five senses, and the respective sense stimuli, and also the respective sense consciousness for you to experience Adivachana Sampassa. Then it is just the mind, but mind has data acquired from your fivefold sensory experiences. So then based on those data, you can you get Adivachana Sampassa. That is the basic difference. Then another question. I I thought time relates to the world and Paticcasamuppada is beyond time, and therefore one cannot speak of it in terms of time. Hmm. Actually, time is not an absolute thing, but we refer to time to as we understand Paticcasamuppada. For instance, you can see in certain suttas in the Abhisamaya Nidana Sanyutta of the Sanyutta Nikaya that Buddha talks about the 45 45 modes of Paticcasamuppada and also 77 modes of Paticcasamuppada. There, for instance, when he talked about the 44 links of Paticcasamuppada, he directly refers to the Atita, he directly refers to the Vartamana, um, or Paticcasamuppanna, or he directly refers to the future. So there is nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with wrong in like referring to the past, present, and the future, because if you are already deluded in the convention, you cannot experience the ultimate truth. First, we had to overcome the delusion and ignorance at the conventional level. So therefore, you have to refer to the Atita and Pachuppanna and also Anagata. So it is it's okay, and it is compatible with the Paticcasamuppada, and it's okay with the Paticcasamuppada that you still refer to the past, present, and the future. But as you understand, there is a point where you understand even the very mind that comprehends Paticcasamuppada is conditional. You come to that point too. But until you come to that point, you have to refer to the conventional level of Paticcasamuppada, conventional truth, and then there also you understand Paticcasamuppada. So then you can overcome the entire ignorance by understanding the Paticcasamuppada in its fuller sense.
We've got another question from Dr. Sunil. Dr. Sunil was our speaker last weekend, Bhante.
Didn't the Buddha realize Paticcasamuppada as a way of transcending the world? Didn't the Buddha realize Paticcasamuppada as a way of transcending the world? Yes, of course. World, we should remember that world always refers to the world of um, five aggregates of clinging, upadana loka. The only way we can transcend this upadana loka is by understanding the Paticcasamuppada. Yes, understanding Paticcasamuppada helps you transcend this whole world of Panchupadana Kanda. So actually, the world we refer to today is based on our ignorance. For instance, we see a existing world, even our very idea of a world today is because of our lack of understanding into Paticcasamuppada. So what you understand ultimately is that you simply transcend not existed world or existing world, rather you understand and you transcend your mythical world, your ignorant world of ignorance. It is this world of ignorance you transcend through the understanding of Paticcasamuppada. And this is extremely difficult. Yes, that's why this is like covered with a very hard shell of ignorance. Um, for the first time, I mean, piercing through this hard shell, it is extremely difficult, extremely rare. So this is why the birth of a Buddha is very rare. But receiving the guidance given by the Buddha, so we are able to transcend this world of ignorance. Now, today, sometimes people think that there is a physical world existing independently, but that is not the case. World is relative to our sensory experiences. For instance, world is nothing but the sixfold experiences. One time, a monk came to the Buddha and asked, Venerable Sir, even though we listen to the Dhamma, we know that there should be some other things too. Please, kindly, out of compassion for us, can you teach us everything about the world? And then the Buddha said, well, yes, I can teach you everything about the world. And Buddha said that everything is six senses and the six sense stimuli. If anyone were to talk about anything beyond these 12 links, 12 things, he can make any point out of it. So, in other words, everything in the world is can be reducible to these sixfold experiences. So, what we transcend in the end is nothing but the this empirical world or experiential world, or the world of experience, or in other words, the world of Pancha Upadana Kanda. Zero number of natural law. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Um, Actually, even with regard to Niyama Dharma, now basically this we have to understand that it is because of our basic ignorance. Today we have the world of matter and um, physical world and the mental world. But in the end, as we understand Paticcasamuppada rightly, accurately, we understand that uh, we cannot distinguish this world from the world of experience. I mean, we cannot separate the world and from the world of experience. But still, as long as we experience a physical world, even in that physical world, the all the physical laws, it is because of that conditional existence. So we can explain everything in the physical world, so-called physical world, from the perspective of Paticcasamuppada, how things exist um, dependent upon other conditions. For instance, in the world of matter, now we talk about four elements: the solidity, fluidity, heat, and motion. So they coexist. It is not possible for us to separate one element from other three elements. Sometimes we might be thinking that, okay, the fire element, the fire we see is just the fire element only. No, actually, what is there? What we see there is one element is has been highlighted, but the other three elements are also there. That's why they can the fire can exist, and fire can you know blow, and fire can um, even the sun, for instance, no matter how hot but it is because of the element of the water element, it exists. So for instance, we see conditional nature or dependent nature of these elements too. And the other thing is the physical occurrences, physical happenings, or the physical existence. Also, we see conditional genesis there too. I mean, the conditional existence. Uh, they exist as long as the necessary conditions exist. Um, all the, I mean, the, for instance, Buddha also talked about the origin of the world. I mean, the physical origin. I mean, the in terms of the physical origin. For instance, if you refer to the Aganya Sutta, you can see clearly Buddha is talking about the evolution, referring to the physical world. So there are, what we see is the dependent nature, because there is nothing independently existing, intrinsically existing out there in the physical world. So everything, absolutely, everything is dependent upon other conditions. Yeah. Um, yeah. There is another question, Bhante. The 12 links of Paticcasamuppada is often taught as taking place so past, present, future lives. Understand that the 12 links can also occur here and now in this existence without bringing in past, future lives, which view is the correct one. Yeah. Uh, well, I actually we discussed this question too a moment before, but let me elaborate it now a little further. Now, um, if you try to understand the momentary Paticcasamuppada, leaving the leaving your ignorance. I mean, the keeping your ignorance is still. Um, I mean, in the past, present, and the future. Then you can understand Paticcasamuppada. No matter how hard you try to understand the momentary Paticcasamuppada, you can understand it. First, that's why, as you understand Paticcasamuppada, when you understand that uh, the first part of Paticcasamuppada, you attain to the first stage of enlightenment. That is called Sotapanna. For you to attain Sotapanna, um, uh, you refer to the Kayanupassana. When you practice Kayanupassana, you are going to focus your attention on how this Kaya arises and how this Kaya ceases, and there you understand, yes, this Kaya is because of the avidya, because of the karma, because of tanha, because of ahara. And then sometimes you have to refer to the atita, and you have to refer to the Vartamana, and you have to refer to the Anagata too. So by contemplating deeply in accordance with the Paticcasamuppada, you overcome the idea of a self or soul, or any substantial entity in relation to this body, in relation to this matter. So then you overcome one a layer of ignorance, and then you come to the first stage of enlightenment. So to understand Paticcasamuppada, and also to overcome avijja, we follow the graduated path. In other words, you peel off the ignorance layer by layer, layer by layer. And as you peel off the ignorance layer by layer, you comprehend the Paticcasamuppada layer by layer, and then you go to its essence. So, for instance, as long as you have ignorance about matter, then you have to refer to Adita, what Pachupanna and Nanagata. But it doesn't mean that you have to go to the past, but you refer to the past, and just to understand the fact that even in this past, this is what really happened, and um, and this is what is happening right now, and this is going to happen if we don't remove the cause, and then this will continue to be in the future too. So that way you can refer to the past, present, and the future. Nothing wrong with that. But ultimately, in the end, especially when you go to the I mean, as you pass the first three stages of enlightenment, then comes to the point, very subtle point, that you are able to comprehend the entire Paticcasamuppada within one single thought experience. So you can see arising and ceasing nature. Yang kinchi samudaya dhamman sabbantan nirodha dhamman. You can clearly see all that is of the nature to arise is of the nature to cease. If you actually the same principle, but at different stages, you understand it differently, but the same principle doesn't change. The same principle, what is this same principle? All that is of the nature to arise is of the nature to cease. Yang kinchi samudaya dhammang sabbantan nirodha dhamma. This is what you understand at the Sotapanna stage, Sakadagami, Anagami, and also at the Arahant stage. This is what you understand. But at the Sotapanna level, yes, you overcome the ignorance related to the past, present, and the future. That's why you see that in the Vichikicca, you overcome Vichikicca in relation to the past. You overcome Vichikicca in relation to the present and the future. Atite Kankati. You overcome, you don't have any doubts about the past, and even in the past, you see, you understand that what really existed was nothing but the name and form, nothing but the mind and matter, or skandhas. But because of your ignorance into about this about the function of these five skandhas, you develop tanha, or you develop kilesas, and because of the kilesas you experience suffering. Otherwise you didn't experience suffering because of the presence of any identity or any soul, self, or any such substantial entity. That you understand by referring to the past, present, and the future. But actually, as you understand at this very moment. But for you to understand, yes, you have to refer to past, present, and the future for a pragmatic purpose. I mean, the not assuming that they existed or existing or will exist, not in that sense, but just for the sake of your understanding only, you refer to the past, present, and the future.
Bhante, I was saying earlier, I think we never expected tonight's Dhamma sharing to go so long. We were expecting it to go for only about 40 minutes, as we discussed yesterday. But now we've gone 1 hour, 15 minutes almost. And there's a lot of questions that was posted to you. And I think there's a lot of interest as far as the Paticcasamuppada is concerned. So, on behalf of the Buddhist Mahavihara and all the monks at the Buddhist Mahavihara and the Committee of Management, let me take this opportunity to thank Bhante and the sponsors, and also to all our listeners who are listening in this evening for paying attention to Bhante. Bhante has been with us for the first time, and we thank you for taking time off from your schedule, very busy schedule. I know you're busy in Fresno. But Bhante, before we end, could we just pay our respects to the Devas and also to the dearly departed before we end tonight's Dhamma sharing?
Yes. Let us transfer and share the merits we accumulated today by listening to the Dhamma talk and also having this discussion on Paticcasamuppada. So we were able to acquire a great deal of merit. So let us think about all our departed relatives. Especially, I would like to remember with so much respect and gratitude late Venerable, Most Venerable K. Sri Dhammananda Mahanayaka Thera, who is very much related to us, even though I haven't seen him. I never got the opportunity to see him when he was alive, but he was born in the same village I was born. So and he made a really he was a real role model for our life too. So wherever Most Venerable K. Sri Dhammananda Mahathera is right now, may he is able to receive the powerful merits we accumulated. And also you can think of all your departed relatives too. May they be able to receive the powerful merits we accumulated. May they be well and happy. May they all be able to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. With that intention, let us recite the Gatha to transfer our merits to them all. Idamme nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idamme nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idamme nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. And let us share these merits with all the divine beings, all the devas, all the deities. May all the deities who protect the Buddha Sasana protect the lives, all your lives, and may they be able to receive the powerful merits we accumulated today, and may they keep the eye on you and bless upon you, and may with the blessings of all the devas, may you be able to succeed in all your righteous endeavors, and may you all be well and happy, and may all the Bhantes of the Buddhist Mahavihara and all the Bhantes living around the world, serving the Dhamma, serving the world, and may all everyone in your family members be protected by all the devas, and with the blessings of all the devas, may you be able to succeed all your righteous endeavors, and may you be all well and happy. May all the devas also be able to attain to the final bliss of liberation. With that intention, let us recite the gathas to transfer our merits. Akasattha ca Bhummattha Devanaga Mahidika Punyantang Anumoditva Chirang Rakhantu Loka Sasanang. Akasattha ca Bhummattha Devanaga Mahidika Punyantang Anumoditva Chirang Rakhantu Desanang. Akasattha ca Bhummattha Devanaga Mahidika Punyantang anumoditva chirang rakhantu tvang sada.
Thank you, Bhante. So we've come to the end of this evening's Dhamma sharing. Please do join us this coming Sunday. We have another Bhante from the United States, Bhante Samita, who will be from Connecticut in the States, who will be talking about the origin of individual and social suffering based on the Mahanidana Sutta. So you can join us again on Sunday night at 8:30. And once again, let me thank Bhante Chandananda for being with us this evening. Bhante, thank you so much hope to see you again soon. Yeah, and stay safe. Good night.
Okay, Yadu. May I bless you.